Hey everybody, Glenn Wittenberg with MySipSolutions.com. My last video I posted this same box here. It's a little mini ITX with the J1900 quad-core Celeron in it. It's got the gigabit motherboard, and it came with, I ordered it with 4 gig of RAM. It comes in the little M350 case, as you can see here. Pretty slick little case. Highly vented. There's the top for it. It goes on top there. But today I wanted to show, I went ahead and reformatted the drive and put Windows 7 on it so I could run some benchmarks on it to kind of get a handle for what this machine would do for just a PC workstation. The wattage on it is very, very nice. I put my watt meter on it, and the most I could get it to draw at 100% CPU utilization was 13.75 watts. So that's pretty good. It idles at around 10.2, so not too bad there. So that's a very low power machine, and with no moving parts it should last a long time, right? So I don't have any fans or spinning hard drives or anything in it, right? So that's kind of nice too. But I went ahead and put Windows 7 on it again so I could do some benchmarks on it, and I've got a 60 gig it's not the fastest drive in the world, 60 gig Patriot Blaze SSD in there. I bought that new separately from when I ordered the box itself. So I got it from mitxpc.com. Pretty nice guys over there. So they put everything together minus the hard drive, and they even I upgraded it from 2 gig to 4 gig. As you can see, the memory module, 4 gig of RAM in there. And it's worked pretty good so far. It came with the carrier for it and everything. I just pulled this out, mounted the hard drive underneath there, and then it came with a couple black SATA cables already, but I bought a shorter one, a red one, as I'm really cramped on space. So and then I just kind of rolled that up. Let's see here. I rolled that up and put it. Went ahead and turned on. Sorry about that. Turn it off. So I went ahead and rolled that up and stuck it on the motherboard there in 0 for the SATA. And again, this is just SATA 2 as well, so we don't have a lot going on there for SATA ports. There's only 2 ports, and they're just SATA 2, which is fine because, again, my primary purpose of this is for a pfSense router box. But I definitely want to see, how it's going to act as a Windows station, because I might replace a couple PCs that I got here. Conventional type stuff, which are probably drawing 5 times as much power just sitting there idling. So it'd be nice to have this. So very reliable, no moving parts, completely silent. That's very nice too. Everything's powered off of a I think it's a 90 watt Pico PSU, plugs in there, and then we got the power adapter and stuff back over here. So I've got just regular VGA plugged in the back. Hooked up to this cheap Acer monitor I have for benching stuff. And let's go ahead and see if I can spin this around. I'll turn it back on. There we go. You take a look here on the back. It's got dual Ethernets. They're Realtek cards, so maybe not the best. They're not Intel, but they are what they are. But it's got an audio, 4 USB 3.0s. And again, the dual Ethernet. It's got a DVI, VGA, a couple serials at the bottom, and then some PS2 stuff, keyboard, mouse. And then in the front, it also has, if you take the cover off, this cover snaps off, it's got a place in here for, it's got 2 more USB ports. So you can actually make this a completely diskless station and put like a flash card in there, a USB drive or something like that. And I've tested this already when I was doing my pfSense stuff, and you can see it in the video that I have on that build, and that works fine as well. But there's nothing like a good, SSD flash drive in here for us. So that's what I'm working on there. So this is what I have tore apart. I'll go ahead and boot it up here in a second, show you the BIOS screen. But other than that, once I get it booted up, I'm just going to probably our console into it from my main PC over here, and then I'm just going to do a screen record, and we can show you some numbers on that. I'll do some prime test on it. We'll take a look at the core temp. We'll do disk I/O. We'll take a look at some different speed programs that load. I went ahead and put Windows 7 on it, Pro, fully patched as of today. I put Adobe Photoshop CS6 on it, full Office suite, and maybe something else. But I just kind of wanted to get a feel for, you know, how applications would run on it and what things are kind of going to bench on. So let's go ahead and power this on here. Let me turn up this light so I don't have such a glare. There we go. So come down here, there's a little button in the front. Put that on there, and screen's going to pop up. I'm going to go ahead and press delete on my keyboard over here so we can get into the BIOS and see if I can show you a little bit of that. So you can see there, it's got the it's the GA-J1900-D3V for gigabyte, and this actually has the latest BIOS on it. It came from them with it, which is the F4, dated 5/6/2015. I thought that BIOS didn't come out till like June or July, but apparently it came out in May, but I didn't see it up on their website till then. This is the first time that I've used this BIOS on this board. I've used this board a couple other installs for pfSense, and it came with the F3. No problem there, but the F4 didn't give me any problem either, so take a look at that. I have the BIOS set up on just factory default, so I really didn't change anything for this install. I changed it to legacy USB when I did my pfSense install, but when I redid it for Windows, I just kind of want to see how it would work out of the box, so I just reset everything on that. As you can see, it's got the 4 gig of RAM in there as well. We'll go down to a hardware monitor real quick. I'll just let you see that. So you can see it in idle there. My CPU temp is at 40 Celsius. System temp's at 34. Of course, when you know, everything's running, it's under load, it does jump up a little bit more, and we'll take a look at those numbers as well. So I wanted to let you see that. Really not else a lot to see in here. Like I said, everything's just set to factory default. Chipset, security, boot device. Again, I just have it set up for my Patriot and any UEFI stuff that I might have in on a flash or something like that. So we'll go ahead and save and exit, and there you go. We'll let this boot up. Let me pull a chair over here. There we go. So here comes Windows. So, you know, it's not too bad on the boot. Got the welcome screen for a second. Takes you right up, and you'll see down there at the bottom that our network config will come live. There we go. That's done. It does have the Intel HD graphics card on it. So I just have all the drivers that came with it from the CD, which was for the audio, the network, the video, and the chipset for the board. And I think that was it. So I just put them all on there, you know, so we could just kind of test out of the box. And I did pay attention when I was doing all the updates. It really didn't overwrite any of those drivers, so everything seems to be current, up to date. Windows hasn't replaced anything, at least for the Windows 7 anyway. I've got Windows 10 and Windows 8, but I just wanted to run 7 on it because I know a lot of these benchmark tools kind of give some different readings with different operating systems, so I kind of wanted to standardize that. So that's not too bad. So we can click like Firefox down here at the bottom, and we'll see how long it takes that to load. So that's not too awful bad, and pulled up the Google screen already. So, you know, I mean, it's not world-class, you know, workstation performance, but not too shabby. And let's go to all programs, and then we have one up here as well for Microsoft Office. I put the whole suite in there as well, so you can see I'll do Excel here, and that loads fairly quickly too, so you know, it's not a big overhead. Let's go ahead and try, we'll do Microsoft Word. Let you see that one if I can find it. There it is. Again, that loads really fast too, and as you can see, these weren't pre-cached or anything. I just did the boot and it was doing these. And let's do the like I said, I think I got a version of Adobe on here, don't I? Yeah, I did. Yeah, here it is. CS6 64-bit Adobe Photoshop. So let me click that, and dialog comes up. You can see everything loaded up, so not too bad. Then we can go to About Photoshop. You see all my product activations turned off. It's a maybe not the most legit copy in the world. Of course, neither was the Office. Of course, neither is the Windows 7. So hey, so you know, seems to load up pretty good that way. So we're going to get into some numbers here. I'm going to run the benchmark ATO on it. We'll take a look at some of the diagnostics with the CPU ID. We're also going to use the CPU ID hardware monitor, and we can prime 95 it as well and max everything out on it so we can actually get some numbers on this thing and see how things are running, the temperatures and stuff. So that's it. So let me go ahead and get our console in on the other box and get my screen recorder turned on, and we'll go from there. All right, everybody, we're back. I have the machine booted all back up, put together, and we are all consoled in. The address of that machine is 192.168.10.114 to my little mini ITX. And I have some graphs up here on the screen for you to look at. Just going to quickly go over these so you can kind of see how things perform. So first one we'll take a look at is the ATTO disk benchmark test. Pretty standard benchmark test tool, ATTO, and pretty reliable. It does work well with the SSDs, so I kind of depend heavily on this one. So you can take a look at some of the numbers here on this when we get past the 128 mark, 128K mark. You can see that the disk I/O for write is about 250 and reads are about 275. Obviously better than just a standard disk, but way below, what some of the premium SSDs are. I know I have Samsung SSD and SSD Pros in some of my other boxes, and I get 400 writes and 480 reads easily on those. And of course it depends on what platform that it's on as well. But everything is over 400 on those. So, but they're quite a bit more expensive too. So. Anyway, this is very, very sufficient for what I wanted it for anyway, which was just for a PFSense router box. If you're going to be doing some hardcore Windows stuff, then you probably want a different machine anyway. So, this little Blaze disk isn't bad for speed. You'd probably want to go with a bigger one. This is a 60 gig, and I'll show you here real quick. It's probably got it in other places too, but let's go to computer. And you can see right here, there's only 14.3 gig free left on this drive, and I've only got a couple apps on there, Windows Office and Adobe Photoshop, and I think that's about it. Everything else is just kind of standard stuff that comes on it. So definitely out of space there with the little 60 gig. More than enough room for my BSD PFSense image implementation that I want to roll out with here. So that kind of covers the disk I/O. You can look at the hardware monitor here real quick. You can take a look. There's no fans. That's kind of nice. Temperatures aren't too bad. Low to mid 50s, sitting at idle. When I max things out with Prime 95, and all the cores are maxed out, these creep up just a little over 70 on all my cores. So, again, not too bad. According to a couple websites I went to, and including Intel site, the heat on this, the CPU can get all the way up to 105 Celsius, which I thought was quite high. I would be kind of scared if it ever got even close to that high, but I kind of like 70 being the max, even under load. 80 is kind of getting critical for me. This never hit that, never hit critical at all, and this is if I left it for hours and hours on Prime 95 under full load. It didn't even get to. I think it got to 71. 71 or 81. I'm sorry, 81 on one core. Yeah, there we go, 81. So, you might want to. I don't know whether how accurate that is or not, or how alarmed you should be, since Intel is telling you 105, but I don't like it a whole bunch. So, anyway, I would think twice about using this built-in heatsink for any type of gaming or high-end CPU utilization, or compression type stuff, video rendering that's really CPU intensive. You might want to get a fan on there and to kind of work with that. But in any case, not too bad. So I'll go ahead and run Prime here real quick. You can see things kind of maxed out, and I'll just do what they call the stress test here. And the stress test is running. And no, let me stop it. Hold on a second here. Here we go. Test. Let's stop the current test and go into here, and I think it was torture test. That's what they call it, torture test. We'll run all 4 cores. We'll turn that on,
minimize this, and you can see here all 4 cores now in my CPU UID hardware monitor is all at 100%, and you can see the temperature starting to creep up there. 50, 60. And if you leave this long enough, they will slowly rise. Every 15 minutes or so, man, they'll jump up a couple more temps. So it's a pretty strenuous test. Again, I let this run for about 4.5 hours. I got no errors or anything on it, and you can see here the hottest it did get was 80. So it says over here, which is 176 degrees, 80 Celsius, 176 Fahrenheit. So pretty warm. But I'm not too concerned about it at the moment, so we'll go ahead and stop that test. And you can see all my cores down here trickle back down to 0, and things will cool down again here as well. So real quick here, if you look at another tool I got up, CPU-Z, kind of identifies things a little bit. It's the Intel Celeron J1900-D3V was the code name, 1170 socket. Gives you all the instructions, whether you can do virtualization, stuff like that. All that's on there as well. Gives you the cache and everything on there. So, and we're on main board. It's a gigabyte technology, J1900-D3V, and again, it's got the AMI BIOS F4 dated back in May of this year. So it's got that new BIOS on it. The memory it's in it's DDR3, 4 gigs. You see some of the clocks running at 666.4 megahertz. And the SPD should show how many channels. It's a dual channel, but if you go to slot 2, channel 2, there's nothing in there. I've only got 1 stick in it. This board will take 8 gig, so I could put another 4 in it on the other channel and do maximum 8 gig of memory in that. And it's PC3 12800 running at 800 megahertz by Crucial. So. And you can see some of my voltage in there as well for that. So that's pretty much all I got to show you on that. On the Nova bench, this is something I've never run before, but I saw it online, so I figured I'd give it a shot, right? Kind of check it out. The scoring on this is much different from anything else that I've ever tried before, so I was kind of playing around with it. So it gave me a total score of 420, and what that is, it's a kind of a sum of all these different scores, and there's some logarithm that they play with. So give me an individual score of 115 on my RAM, 291 on the CPU, only 4 on the graphics test. Wow, that's pretty low. But again, I'm running the, as you can see down here, we'll pull this up. It's just the built-in, it's supposed to pull up, maybe because I'm in our console. It's the Intel HD graphics control panel. Oh, it's because I'm in remote desktop, it won't let me do that. But it's running just a built-in Intel HD a video on that, onboard video, so definitely not a gaming scenario there. Hardware test it gave me on the primary partition is only 56 gig, right, 60 gig drive, formatted out to 56. And it only gave me a write speed of 59 meg, so I don't know where they get this from. I looked at other scores on the site for different drives that I know perform much better, and they're all extremely low. So if I look over here to around 60, that just happens to be the number 2 here, and that kind of gives me 60 to 80 on. I ran it on 4 different drives, and it gave me that on all my drives, very low score. So the way they grade could be different on there as well. So I compared these to some of the other people out there on site. I clicked that link there, and you can see my current score, little screen results, test scores. I'm just going to do the J1900. That should give me something to look at here. And if I went to something close to mine, which is a 420, I think it was like on page 3. 420, see if I keep going here. No, you know what, page 4, let's try that one. One more, wow. I'm really down there, huh? Here we go. So this one here, the Intel Celeron J1900, right here, this one lit up. That's actually mine. When I click into it, it's actually mine when I submitted it. So I went and found another one. I don't find any that are Windows 7, but I found one here. It's same 420 with the same, pretty much hardware, Intel GA-J graphics on it as well. And let me go ahead and click on that. And so let me pop this up here so we can kind of compare them side by side. If you look here, you got the RAM score on this one of 110. Mine got a 115, so I'm higher there. I'm higher in the CPU score test, which is good. Very, very much lower in the graphics test, and I'm a lot lower in the hardware test too. So what's telling me is that numbers on the left, somebody else has set up, they actually have a better graphics controller on theirs, video card, and they probably got a better hard drive on there too, which rose their score up, which, you know, I get. I have built-in video and a very cheap SSD drive, so I can see those two being low, but I am happy with the way my RAM and my CPU came out on that as well, so that was kind of nice. And that's pretty much it. There's really nothing else to show you. Kind of got everything going on where it's at. Pretty happy with it so far. I'll go ahead and let it burn in, run a few more tests, maybe put some more apps on this, as many as it'll hold with that small drive, and we'll just kind of build it up from there. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks.